And we are live on record, so hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back tonight with the next part of our current Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword episode. We're technically out of Spooky Month, but, well, this is still pretty terrifying, so let's call this our Spooksgiving episode. Possibly episodes. We'll see how it all goes here. But when last we left off, the crew had been on their way to conduct their next jobs. They had discovered a ship along the way, a very old D5 configuration freighter. So the very similar to a different Klingon craft, but this one meant exclusively for the transportation of goods. It was relatively cold and doesn't seem to have been doing very much of anything for these past however many years it's been out here. I believe Azek learned it was about 36 years, or no, 39 years, I think. Um, But the other discovery, of course, was a debris field outside left by some scavengers, who the captain suspected to be Creel. Uh, Not one to waste an opportunity such as this, you decided to board the ship, which led to Captain Tabok, our ship's doctor, uh, Kresik, the engineer, Raldar, and the helm officer, Azek Korg, as well as a supporting character from security, one Dekoth, all beaming aboard. The crew scattered out to look for any signs of people, and, well, they discovered some things that were out of sorts. From the garbled logs left by the captain some years ago that Azek discovered, to the skull of a Klingon that was long deceased, but seemed to have at one point been Kohach, but maybe had been turning to something more. Elsewhere, of course, voices abound in this ship. As Raldar attempted to restore its main power, he was advised by a voice he could not place. And the captain, along with his bodyguard Dekoth, managed to discover the survivor of the last crew that was here. A Creel man who was desperately trying to destroy the ship just before, um, essentially, once power was restored, he was resolved to do that. And no sooner had he started making his way out, then the deck plate ruptured, and out from one of the walls came this other. It's hard to say exactly. He looks vaguely humanoid, vaguely Klingon in some ways, but he most definitely seems to be something larger and more fearsome and changed. And he has already taken the first strike against the people here. In particular, he has gone in, attacked the Creel before he could leave the room, and managed to land a lethal bite on this gentleman. So that is
Big
where,
ugly bad guy.
yep, that is where we come back to here. Tabok and Dekoth, I believe last time it was at least Tabok's intention to fire disruptors and not wait for this.
Yeah, shoot the bad guy,
Oh,
definitely.
all right. So we open starting into combat. Uh,
Dun 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 dun
yep.
dun 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 dun.
Tabok or Dekoth, which one of you would like to take the first shot?
You
I want
forced
to
me
take the
to
first shot. Nah, somebody had it.
Never underestimate our chief engineer's soundboard.
All right, so shooting him is.
Shooting him is a control plus
And
security task.
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And
Hopefully my disruptor does not
because
explode.
this this creature is still partially holding the corpse of the dying Creel, blood and viscera dripping from its teeth. Technically, it has just a little bit of cover right now, so I'm going to rule that in order to actually hit this creature, you are going to need to roll at an increased difficulty of 3.
Let's not make this easy for me. Thanks, appreciate that. Anybody got a problem if I grab a momentum to get an extra die?
Do it.
Yes, I have a problem, but you're the captain, so go for it.
Remember one of the aim minor action.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So does that give me another die too?
No,
Let's
It
see,
does
lets you reroll.
exactly.
Lets me a reroll.
Yes.
Okay.
When you
So
aim,
yeah, I will aim and shoot.
Hey!
okay, and with three successes, you manage to meet the difficulty at that task. You quickly pull your disruptor, level it in the direction of this creature, and open fire with your disruptor. A purplish green bolt, the energy seems to morph through the air as it passes through. Around it, a swirling mass of other colors as this weapon the weapon sort of tears through the atmosphere in this compartment and almost in a way seems to cut a gash through reality as it passes. But it strikes true at the creature's shoulder. Go ahead and roll me damage.
All right, so that's only the 3 dice, right?
That should be at the bottom left of your character sheet.
Yep, disruptor pistol.
Yep.
Yep.
It accounts.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Ooh.
That is a very good roll there. So that is
Ooh.
4 points of damage, and 3 of those are considered effect points, which means that they also gain the Vicious 1 quality. So that will be a total of 7 points of damage. I presume that I suppose I should ask real quick because even after rechecking the Klingon rulebook, it does actually matter whether you declare this or not. In part because there's a specific talent relevant to it. Tabak, is that meant to be a lethal attack?
Absolutely.
All right, that
Yes.
does mean I still take 1 point of threat. So
Why?
because
Well, you
whenever
took momentum.
oh yes, I made a mistake, and that's because even playing a Klingon crew, it turns out the rule book states that one still takes a point of, when the players opt to go for a lethal blow, that counts as a sort of escalation, or there's a threat cost. I will admit it makes more sense to play that with a Federation rule, but I mean, if you are outright attempting to kill something, then that obviously prompts additional consequences.
I would like to point out that Klingon disruptors do not have a stun setting.
Indeed not. There's quick death and there's slower death, and I don't think that you were aiming to make this a slower death.
I was aiming for his head. I think I got it.
You know, I do think you did. Let me just give a quick review over the talents here. So,
Now he's never going to get ahead in life. Come on now.
Okay, so with two resistance, that is still going to deal 5 points of damage, which would be enough for a lethal injury. I'm going to spend the 2 points of threat necessary in order to buy off that injury, or rather to allow it to ignore it. So that disruptor bolt.
Well, to ignore death anyway.
Yes. So that disruptor bolt is going to soar across. It is going to just singe across the left side of its head, completely burning away the ear, messing up messing up the shoulder. It is a grisly, gnarly sort of wound. I dare say its eye is where its eyes would be are very nearly impacted. It is hard to see, but it does indeed have them. But
And it probably smells like burnt bacon now.
oh yeah, the compartment is something quite rank now, and with that, and with it's just barely like the blast is enough that the one arm it has lifting up this hefty Creel gentleman um, lets go and drops the corpse to the floor. It stands there for just a beat before its arms clench. And it starts to build this strange exhale before letting out a roar, which I cannot perform, unfortunately. And it is going to move in your direction here, so I am going to... Let's see, I will have it first. I think I will rule that it still has to sprint here, which...
And go over the table?
Yes, I will... I'll allow for that. I just need to double check the ground tasks here. Because I definitely think it is trying to take what it sees as the most direct path to you. Okay, so that is a difficulty 0, fitness, and security. I will, because it is under fire, I will do it at a difficulty 1. And that way I'm not automatically generating threat for myself that way. It still has to beat that success, but it will clear the distance to the both of you if it succeeds. And it does succeed.
I'm gonna die.
And I am going to spend another 2 threat in order to keep the initiative and allow it to engage with one of you.
It's getting engaged.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Okay, it was me or Dakoth, and I got the shot off first. And should Dakoth not have gone at the same time or immediately thereafter?
He could have if you had spent the momentum to keep the initiative.
Okay, yeah, gotcha. I forgot about that.
That is that's quite all right. We have not done as many ground combat scenarios, but that is one useful thing for ground tasks. Let me just pull up the rules to make sure that I have that right. So you can basically once per combat, you may pass the action order to another ally instead of an enemy. But it may only be done once before the enemy has had the opportunity to take an action. So you... Oh, did they reword that? That might actually mean you could do it conceivably multiple times in a combat round. Okay.
You can. The enemy just has to at least go once every 2 rounds, basically, is what it turns into.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, well that definitely is I think it's a good update for that. But yeah, this thing is going to sprint your way, and it is going in for a melee attack. I think Dakoth would be slightly more forward compared to the captain, so...
I was in melee previously.
Yep, you are... Well, it's going to engage you in melee once more, so...
Oh, and it didn't even buy me a drink first.
All right. So let's see. It is also going to be tapping its instinctive rage, which will allow it to gain a bonus d20 for the melee attack, but it will be done at a complication range of 2. And it is going to jump in for a bite attack. So, Dakoth, you may roll daring and security in order to contest this.
I'm assuming brawling would go into work going for this.
Brawling would definitely apply.
Ooh.
Okay, this thing comes in and goes straight for you. You are used to, however, as someone who is experienced with brawls, you are used to people just throwing themselves at you and making a lunge. You manage to compensate for this, how would you describe Dekoth's attempt to block or otherwise try to counter this attack?
Well, considering the thing is coming at him from across the table, he's got the higher ground than Dekoth does. So Dekoth would definitely try to use his momentum to kind of bring him up and over and then slam him to the ground, kind of like a wrestler move with somebody coming off the ropes.
Copy that. So that is, let's see here, with the this type of ground combat, that would be, I suppose that would be considered more of a shove type action. So you, in doing so, can force the character out of reach, and you may roll. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to give you two options here. With the way you've described it here, you could treat this as a shove, where you can basically throw them so that they won't be in melee range. You do get the ability as well to roll for damage, like roll your unarmed strike, but it doesn't count for damage. It only counts for whether you knock the character prone or not. The alternative is to do a strike, which allows you to, basically toss and then roll normal damage. It will probably still land in melee, though it may be knocked prone as a result of the unarmed strike if you get the knockdown effect.
I like the second option.
Okay.
Dekoth likes damage.
Very good, very good. Okay, go ahead and roll your unarmed strike. Yeah. For those at home that can't see, I should say the contest went with 2 successes for the attacking creature, and for Dekoth 3 successes here. Just so everyone is
Unarmed
clear.
strike is not on his character sheet, so let me switch here. Hang on.
Oh dear. Yeah, I can also get in very quickly and fix that. Let's see here. Jump into Dekoth's sheet here. Now, for our purposes, you could actually just roll the dagger, and I will remember to change the, we can account differently for the effects. If you want to go ahead and get out of the way
works.
now. Otherwise, I
That
can.
works.
Yeah. Okay, so with unarmed strike, that is going to be 3 points of damage plus the effect there would be the knockdown, so that is enough to knock it prone. I should ask once again, are you going for the... is this a lethal strike, or are you going non-lethal here?
We're going to go lethal. And as I shove him to the ground, I yell in rage, just like he was yelling at us. Kind of trying to match his aggression and bolsterous, a great barbaric yelp as I slam him to the ground.
Okay. Well, for the lethal strike, the GM will take 1 point of threat. And you will give him a good toss, and indeed knock him prone. It is, however, it doesn't seem particularly phased by what happened. There's more a look of slight surprise before the rage comes back over. Dekoth, as you try to roar in this thing's face, you just meet its eyes with an expression that's, it is something just absolutely, there's something primal about it. You also notice, most unusually, its eyes are like complete pitch black. There's scarcely any signs of anything like denoting a separation between pupil, iris, or anything of the sort. But yes, it is.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, seriously. But on the unrelated matter of this immediate encounter, the turn does go back to you.
Uh,
'Cause
I would like to put my boot firmly into him, like give him a good kick. So I'm guessing daring and security plus brawling.
Yes, that would do that, and it cannot be contested since he is knocked prone. However, I am going to drop 1 point of threat to increase your complication range.
Would you like a moment? Never mind.
Nah. Save momentum for the captain.
Okay. Well,
He
since
needs it.
it looks as though points. Well, I'm going back here.
So mean, but I need it.
Hey, you hit something. So I think this is the
I
first time that you've
No.
done so on purpose.
No, it's not the first time. It's just the most effective time.
He's
There's a
the
difference.
difference is he's engaging in ranged combat as opposed to melee. In any case here, let's see. I believe that. Let's see. So I don't think Mr. Kresick has been dropping momentum as regularly. So that would have been
I
good.
was,
Oh.
because we gained one from winning that
That's
that last one. So we were at 6, went down to 5, and back up to 6.
yes.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right. So I believe after that, we should be at 2 floating then. And yeah,
I'd like to spend one of those to keep the initiative.
it would be 2 momentum cost in order to do that. But first,
Okay, well, if we
Miss-
have the floating ones, that's fine.
Yep. Before we do that, Mr. DeKoth, if you wanted to roll damage.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry.
I do need to ask it. Are you going for a lethal blow there?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it does occur to me that.
And that was using the unarmed strike versus the dagger, so just
yeah, and
heads up on that.
I need to go back and verify one thing because with the unarmed strike the way that it is, I think there may actually be one small issue here, and that's part of the reason that they ask to have that declared right at the start. Let me look at this. Okay. I will tell you what, because I did not make this clear beforehand, I will still allow you to run this as a non-lethal, if you so choose. The problem with with launching a lethal attack with an unarmed strike is that it is technically considered more difficult when you do that, or like the difficulty
Okay.
on that increases. Granted, well, no, wait a minute. You still scored 2 points of success there, and without it being able to contest the base difficulty as 1. So you should actually be fine there, I think. That's just worth.
Okay.
In the future, I will be better about enforcing that as a rule, so just being mindful.
Well, and my previous hit was lethal, so I'm just going to keep going with lethal.
Fair enough. All right, the GM shall take 1 more point of threat. So yeah, you know, if it had just been a normal kick, I would have guessed you would have gone for like the side or something. In order to make this as lethal a kick as possible, though, where might you be changing your target? However,
Probably right on his chest, where I would think that his heart would be.
Or just curb stomp them.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. As you try to bring your foot down on his chest, your aim goes slightly off, but it completely crushes the thing's windpipe.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
As your souls make contact with the neck of this thing, you hear an audible crunch, and it roars but then sputters with terrible purple viscous liquids just coming out from its mouth as it begins to twitch and writhe. With that level of damage that you rolled, which would be 3, 4, 5, or let's see, 6 points of damage. Only 2 of that would be resisted. That is definitely enough to land the kill.
I'm going to put my hand up to my ear and go, what? What was that? I didn't hear that. What? What?
It's
Captain?
just-
The cough getting all taunting here. Interesting.
I apologize about that, Captain. I let my anger get the better of me. Your prize, sir, as I point to the creature.
I give less to the targs behind.
As you
It's dead. That's all I care about.
As you gesture to the captain's prize, it disappears from view as it is wreathed in a in the yellowish orange frame of a transporter beam, and it disappears.
It transported out. Same little sparkles, same little hum.
Something has beamed this thing out of this room. Though it at least looked dead, so it is uncertain as to exactly how much.
Can I raise the yawn on communicators?
You may attempt to do so. However,
Ooh.
as you do, as you raise the communicator to you, there's another beam of gold and yellow coming from behind you now.
Oh God! All right.
You have
Do I have
mere
time to
moments to
turn
react.
around? Okay. Turn to face the glow and get ready to probably shoot whatever's coming in.
You have your disruptor leveled at it.
Yep.
It is aimed at point blank. And do you just choose to prepare the attack, or do you mean to fire while it is still like in partial beam?
You can't shoot it. You can't shoot it when it's beaming in. It's protected by the annular confinement beam. A disruptor or a phaser blast would just bounce right off of it until the materialization is finished.
I mean, it would generally pass through. If you time it right, though, you could land a shot and possibly damage some internal organs. That is canon for better or worse at this point.
Yep. But, no, I'm waiting for. It's not going to be able to move or do anything until materialization finishes. So once the last glowy bit finishes, it's going to get shot. And I'm going to hope I'm not going to kill a fellow crew member who decided to beam over.
And as the glowy bit resolves, tell me, Traven, how are you looking at this point?
Uh-oh.
For a bunch of snacks. And I was fully dressed and ready to go. Put on my best clothes so I could do an adventure.
Perchance have you come with any weapons whatsoever?
Were there any on the ship that I could grab?
There were weapons. There was pretty much anything from the list was fair game.
Okay, cool. So I grabbed a disruptor pistol.
Oh, good. Well, you stand. From one moment on the transporter pad to finding yourself in the room with this what appears to be a very similar mess hall. You find yourself with the captain pointing a disruptor square in your face.
God, please don't shoot. Is this because of the cock pockets?
Don't tempt me. What are you doing here?
I transported over. I was left behind.
There was a point to that.
Hey, I am more than just a cook.
Until I say otherwise, you're not.
Well, you haven't given me the chance to prove myself.
You almost ate a disruptor bolt. You didn't even tell me you were coming over.
Sounds like you're on edge. Are you hungry?
Is Azek still manning the transporter?
Azek is not on. Azek was not manning the transporter. That was Croker.
Okay.
Azek's on the bridge.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Yep.
All right.
Shall we cut back a moment?
I'm still holding the disruptor in one hand, and with the forefinger that was on the trigger, pushing the communicator and the bracer. So yeah, if we're switching points of view, that's what I'm doing immediately before.
Yeah. Well, let us cut to just a little bit earlier just to get Traven's side of the story here. So, Traven.
Death's log. Stardate 507.13. Our ship is currently on its way to the Palinor system. From what I've gathered from everybody, the area is currently under heavy tension between a few Klingon houses. I am excited to see what kind of situation will arise when Tabak gets there, because he is a house, and that's 3 houses, or 4 or 5, however many. But I would like to see how he interacts with everybody, and hopefully I would get to see him kill somebody. I have yet to really see a Klingon v Klingon like full-on murder. I really want to see it. But other than that, I've been pretty stressed out. There's a lot more hands to feed, and I don't have a lot of time, so I have to find time between, cooking and cleaning. Uh, yeah, everything's been pretty good. I think I'm finally one of the crew. They're really starting to appreciate me, think about me, involve me in things. I think pretty soon I'll be able to go on a mission with them. I think I've earned their trust, and I've proven myself. So we'll see how this goes. So this is Traven Lex signing off.
As you sign off, there is a knock at your door in the galley.
This is it. I know it. I can feel it. I open the door.
And like you expect your eye level to meet with Captain Tabak offering the mission. However, you wind up needing to adjust your view lower as Vopri is at the door.
Oh, I'm not disappointed in. I was just expecting. What's up?
It's okay. I would not be pleased to see me either necessarily. I may be on shift a little bit longer, so I was wondering if I could grab just something to drink to take back to the bridge.
Oh yeah, no problem. I got something in the back. Do you want some non-meat
I
variety snacks?
I do not want meat in my snacks or my drink, please. Just something where
Non-meat.
yes, no meat. How often must I explain my dietary requirements?
No, I was saying non-meat. Like, do you want some non-meat snacks? I put a note up to
I
make
don't
sure.
want meat snacks. Yes, none of that. And please hurry. I must be back to sensor operations. The captain would not be happy with me if we were to lose signal while he is away.
Sorry, what?
You did not feel the ship stop?
No, I was focused on everything else.
We dropped out of warp. We are investigating a freighter. He has taken Raldar, Dr. Krasik, and Dekoth and Azek. They beamed over several minutes ago.
How thirsty are you, Vopri?
I am very thirsty.
Very.
Yes,
I'll get you that drink, but you have to get me on that ship.
There is visible displeasure on this man's sinewy, pale skin. The captain would probably not like me to send over more of a salvage crew. He would request that sort of thing if he wanted it, and I do not know what your salvage talents are. It is not really my judgment anyway. He left Woe in command.
Listen, me and Woe are pretty cool. I think she'd be okay with me going on the ship. Pretty sure.
In command, I think, is a generous description.
Listen, I'll take the full blame. I won't even say it was you. Your name won't even come out of my mouth.
Well, look, don't involve me. You want to get on. Croker is at the transporter pad right now. Just please
Think he's thirsty?
Maybe I do not know. I do not speak to him. I don't like speaking to the Klingons when I don't have to. Except Isaac.
I'm gonna get you that drink.
Yes, please.
I walk over, I get the drink, and I hand it to him. And I'm gonna grab another drink. I grab another one and I head down to the transporter room, grabbing a disruptor pistol on the way, and snacks.
Gotcha. So as you make your way through you make your way up to the transporter pad. You find set about there. You set about on just monitoring the controls. You see the impeccably coiffed Klingon, who you've come to know as Croker. Oh, well, hello there, Mr. Traven, Mr. Lex. What can I do for you today?
Wanted to be moored over to the ship, and I head over to the pad and I stand waiting. Full confidence.
Well, not that I'm in, you know, I'm always happy to see someone go off an adventure, but are you sure old Captain Tabak would be happy with that?
He would never deny me glory.
Oh, I wish I thought that was completely true, but maybe if we keep working at it, we'll all get some glory. Seems
You
like you
get
got
me.
seems like you got a drink there.
Oh crap! Yep, that's for you. My bad.
Much
I'm too
obliged.
excited.
I hope it's something stiff.
The stiffest.
Uh,
That sounded weird. Probably should have thought about that. It's
I,
good.
I don't have any problem here. Um, but yeah, with that, before taking a drink, Croker will engage the transporter beam. And Traven, just for shits and giggles, go ahead and give me let's call this a daring and science roll. I want to know just how sloshed you were trying to get Croker here.
And I use my chemistry focus or
Absolutely.
cultural cuisine.
Certainly,
Okay.
certainly.
Yeah. 1.
That does work in its favor, being more intoxicating. Although the question is, how would you like to treat that complication that you've rolled there, Traven? Narrative, threat, or would you like to buy it off with momentum?
Totally going narrative.
All right. So you clear off on the pad. Krokar picks up the drink, downs a good bit of it. Silly little Trill. This drink ain't slumps over the pad. And so, back in the aboard the freighter, Tabak, you are attempting to signal the ship.
Uh-huh.
You are met with naught but static.
Continue to push the button. Somebody better answer the damn phone. With increased frustration.
Yes.
So I was making alcohol, and I gave a batch to somebody, and they might not be able to answer said communicator. Possibly.
You did what?
I thought he'd be thirsty.
I've stopped pushing the button on the gauntlet, and my finger is now back over the trigger.
And hold on.
And it's like I'm holding it like I want to rub the side of my head with the gun, going, "You did what?"
My defense: the last alcohol I made was for a planet called Ryza, and they loved it. In my defense,
I'm going to kill Woe, and then I'm going to kill you.
Woe had nothing to do with this. I
She
will
brought
take
you on board the
full
ship.
blame.
What did you do? What did you do? Did you leave a ship full of drunkards behind you?
No,
Incapable of doing their jobs?
just 1 or 2 of them. Possibly also Vopri.
There were only 4 people on board the ship, 5 including you, that I trusted. I don't include you on the trusted part. Not anymore.
I thought Klingons could
No,
hold their
you
liquor.
didn't. No, you didn't.
At this point, I have to say, Vopri now has to roll effectively a Constitution save in case you did in fact give him that drink. just to see whether this very small Rantal man is capable of handling that. Mm,
Oh, God.
This drink. That poor little Rantal.
Oh, I'm not worried about him. I'm worried about us. So nobody's answering the phone.
Nobody is picking up.
If we die here, I will personally throw you onto the barge of the dead. You can spend the rest of your lives burning in Grethor.
That seems kind of over the top, I think.
Excuse me?
Just a little bit. Let me prove myself. You won't regret me coming on this mission.
I already regret it. There are at least 2 people in very important truers who have really important jobs back on the ship that you have incapacitated.
They'll be fine. Nice cup of something would be good for them.
Who's manning the transporter? And did you do this? Did you give him a drink?
That was the first person I gave the drink
Uh-huh.
to.
Croker.
Yeah.
The man whose job it is to get us off of this ship.
I thought he could hold his liquor. Y'all drink blood wine like every day. This was some me shit.
Totally out of character right now. Tabak wants to shoot this guy right in the head. But we have insufficient crew to just randomly murder people, and he is somewhat of a good cook. Somewhat, as long as he doesn't play with the gawk.
Yeah.
So...
Tabak is nothing if not a pragmatist.
So basically, I just throw my head back and bellow in frustration.
Want something to eat?
Stay out of my way, and I might not kill you.
Sounds fair.
Push the button again for local communications, trying to raise everybody else who's on board the ship, and go, situation reports now.
As this is going on, Raldar, you might find yourself a little busy as you are fighting in engineering, trying to shut down whatever is causing a flow of radiation into the reactor pit. Whatever.
Sorry, I need
or
all 3 hands.
yeah, whatever or whoever. And point of clarification for the audience at home, Gorn do not have 3 hands.
That's not a hand.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's a surprise for later.
Oh, right. Sorry. Must keep the character note secret. In any case, yeah, Raldar, let's see, I'm going to start off by calling this let's call this a control and engineering task here as you attempt to override part of the computer system that is proving non-functional right now.
What is the difficulty of this test?
The difficulty will actually be decided in part by the contest. It is going to be a contested role.
I see.
Hey,
All
you
right.
want some? You want some
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, give me one of the mementos.
You want one, or you want more than one?
We still have the 2 floating ones, don't we?
I think that since we are shifting technically to another scene, the floating momentum goes away. You retain your pool,
okay.
However. Technically, I should take 1 away going from scene to scene, but I've been woefully inconsistent about enforcing that rule, and frankly, I don't feel like punishing you during the Spooksgiving episode.
Thank you.
All right, just one for a 3rd die.
Yeah. I think I'll be good. I think I'll be good. Hey!
Pull from the talents to allow it to attempt to counter. Not quite enough, so that will get you back to full momentum with one floating. It does appear to be you do manage to partially override the computer system here so that it can like you try to reassert control and you find that someone has deliberately attempting to essentially vent radiation into the atmosphere of the compartment. There are also numerous doors and vents that appear to be sealing around here. The main way is not yet closed.
Well, yeah, we blew it up.
Oh yeah, that's fair. There is, however, an emergency. There is essentially a compartment door, or like a bulkhead that is on standby. Has been triggered, but it has been overridden in and of itself in order to be set to standby mode.
I see. How about
Stubborn one!
Can I use that one little bit of floating momentum to ask a question?
I will allow you to do that.
Can I, with that success, am I able to locate the source of the person who is trying to combat me?
I will tell you, in answer to the question, there are no signs of anyone that appears to be physically present in this room. It is possible there is an ambient speaker of some sort. However, the way that the voice seems to rush past you, it is hard to pinpoint whether it is like where exactly it is coming from.
All right. I think the best idea now is just turn this back off.
Okay, as you start to you begin conducting an emergency shutdown of the reactor, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. It is once again you are going to be met with a contest here. This one will be a control and engineering roll. And let's see.
Would you like another point of momentum, my guy?
Yes. Let us do battle.
And this time, you will be met with one additional point of threat being spent in order to counteract this.
Oof.
And also, it has a talent relevant to that. So the reactor is... I'm afraid the reactor will remain quite operational. And I think that I am going to parlay
ghostly Palpatine.
I'm going to parlay two of those threat into an advantage I'm going to create for this force. If this is not enough, I shall give you more reason to depart or perish. And as you say, as you hear this, the like different sort of vents and like chutes begin spraying gas into the chamber. It is rapidly beginning to get hotter, and I dare say some of that is starting to take on an unhealthy glow. With the display that you have up in front of you, you see that someone is basically priming some of the ventilation here in some unholy mess with the with the reactors. Basically, they're looking to vent parts of the EPS system and fill the engineering with significant parts plasma, or at least gas that will, while still superheated, might cool off just enough for that. It will definitely be lethal to you if you remain here, however. I would give you sufficient intervals for maybe, I would say, at least 2 tasks if you want to try, and if you want to try anything else in order to neutralize the reactor.
I would like to try and shunt the ship's plasma into space.
Okay, I will allow you to try to divert that power, and that would effectively, I think, that would basically shunt power to the engines and just have it kind of put a drain on that. So let's call this, since you are, since you're kind of working across, like through the clock here, you're on the clock with this. Let's call this daring and engineering.
All right.
And this time I will set it to a flat difficulty. Um, At its base, I would be inclined to say 3. However, since the ship's engines have not been active for a long period of time, and you are going to be like trying to get this up very suddenly, let's call this a difficulty of 4.
Would you like another momentum?
I would. I would like another momentum. I think we can do this.
Okay. So, against the difficulty 4 daring and engineering task, you roll a
Oh,
single
I don't think
success.
you could.
Yeah. You may, of course, tap your value if you wish to, or rather, you may tap your point of determination if you would like to invoke a value here that would allow you to re-roll the zeros in your dice pool, or you could re-roll up to the entire dice pool if you so wish. I leave that in your hands, however.
I don't really have a good value for this, sadly.
Well, if not that, you may attempt a different task as well. But you have time probably to try and execute one more with this computer before I start dealing lethal damage from either the radiation or the plasma.
I'm gonna try.
I will say, if you wish to solicit opinions from the others, then you may certainly do so. I'm perfectly happy to allow you to go a little above board on this.
Yeah, my immediate first response was blowing it up, but that seems like a bad idea at the moment.
You would make Tabak very angry if you did that.
Eh.
Could always eject the warp core.
I don't think ships in this era would be able to eject their warp cores. And I don't think Klingon ships are generally built with that failsafe.
I don't think.
Alternatively, they were the first to build that failsafe because if all else fails, you have a bigger weapon.
Let's try and flood the ship's reactor with coolant.
Hold on, is this the warp core or a fusion reactor we're having problems with?
It's a fusion reactor.
Oy.
I want to see if I can flood it with coolant to try and stabilize it.
Okay. There may be ways that you can kind of skunk the reactor in that case and disrupt the fusion reaction, or kick in whatever failsafes the Klingon vessel would have on board. So I'll go ahead and say, once again, we'll call this daring and engineering. I will reduce the difficulty on this to 3. Or that will be the difficulty I set for that.
You want another point of momentum?
I'm gonna do this in such a way that this isn't exactly regulation, and I'm gonna use my value of some rules can be broken.
Copy that.
To get 2 automatic successes.
Okay, so you by tapping that value, you gain the automatic critical success before your roll. And you roll an additional 3 successes, which would already meet that, but it allows you to exceed the difficulty and gain 2 bonus successes, which get translated back to momentum. I'll go ahead and award that to you. Oh, you got it taken care of, Kressik. Very good, on the ball. Yeah, with that, you quickly begin to you basically find ways to work around some of the reactor protocols and find ways to begin just absolutely disrupting the reaction, triggering the fail-safes you want, while ignoring the ones that would have been set in place to prevent you from doing what you did. The fusion reaction begins to the systems which are supporting it and keeping it self-sustaining begin to flit out, and the reactor, you've essentially managed to skunk up the impulse reactor very badly. With that, the radiation warnings and the plasma, the gas vents begin to abate. The radiation buildup begins to go down, although it is starting to get to the point where you may need to schedule an appointment with Dr. Kresick.
That's fine. I'm built different.
Yeah. Otherwise, lights are starting to go down a bit more as power begins to dwindle.
All right.
Good for now. But you'll be with all the rest.
Captain?
Nope. Also, as you turn, in part because of power being as diminished as it is, you notice that the bulkhead between engineering and the rest of the ship is beginning to close now.
That's not good.
If you wish to escape, I will request one, call this fitness and security roll to dash out.
All right. Let's try and fitness and security.
Yep.
Now, would you like anything? We do have 6 momentum again.
Sure, I'll take one.
I'll set the difficulty on this to 1. It would normally be difficulty 0, but Raldar is a big boy, and Klingon ships, particularly of this era, are not built for him in mind. Or any Gorn, or abnormally tall Kzinti for that matter.
You're built different.
Built different. Oh my god.
Well, you get 1 success, so that's enough to just make it through without any part of you being clamped by the doors. But yes, you are now effectively sealed out of engineering, and as you dive to the floor and land in the corridor, you you hear over the communicator Captain Tabok requesting a status report.
I am fairly certain this ship is infested by evil spirits.
For the rest of you, Azik and Kresick, you are all welcome to get in on this as well.
Infested by evil spirits?
Yes.
It's possible.
I had a rather tumultuous fight with the engineering section. Something was trying to flood the ship with radiation.
You fought the engine pit?
I mean, it was a battle. I had limited time as I was being flooded with radiation as something happened. Hopefully, the fusion reactor is now damaged, so whoever wanted to make use of it cannot anymore.
Is
Lots
that
of
why the lights are dying?
Yes.
What happened? What is going on with the power? Explain.
Well, I activated the power. Some ethereal voice started taunting me and attempted to wrestle control. I was not able to locate a source of who was doing this, and or where the voice was coming from. But it definitely wanted power as it tried to flood the engine block with radiation from the fusion reactor, and then plasma.
The fusion reactor overloaded?
No. But it was giving off unhealthy amounts of radiation.
How badly are you radiated?
I'm fine for the moment. Might need a pill or something later.
Kresic, you will probably need to chelate some of that out of his body before his whatever you have for kidneys decides to evacuate your body.
Our metabolism is strong enough to withstand that for now, but yes. Captain, there was something alive here once. I found evidence, a body of a patient in sickbay.
Well, I would have assumed that there was a crew at one point on the ship.
Restrained.
That's interesting.
Not quite Klingon.
If I have to continue to ask for explanations, I am going
If
to
I
drop
had
that set.
explanations, I would give them to you. It has been dead for decades.
Decades.
Yes, at least 30 years.
What do you mean almost Klingon?
It seems the skull is Klingon in nature, but a ridge. Like Azek's, but features like yours.
Did it look like some of those who have had that bizarre procedure done?
No.
Well, that is disconcerting. Have you found anyone else on board this ship? Any other
Not
bodies?
yet. I am still
How much
searching.
more do you have to go? 3 more decks?
GM,
2
how much more
decks?
do I have to go?
So let's see. You probably all still have the subdeck to investigate at this point. Kresic, you have investigated a good bit of the crew deck. That there might be like a handful of crew quarters you could still investigate. There is an auxiliary cargo section as well above that. There is also tied to the subdeck. There are probably some cargo pods as well. Or there are definitely some cargo pods as well. Although there's no guarantee that those are pressurized and capable of monitoring.
The cargo bay and the subdeck is what I have left. Crew quarters seem empty.
Empty of personnel or empty of personnel and belongings?
Good question.
It would be only personnel there. This ship was indeed crewed at one point, and if they left, they didn't take their things with them.
Only personnel is missing. Have you found any personnel?
No. Well, we found a creel, and we found something very large. Vaguely Klingon in shape. It attacked us. We killed it, and then it was beamed away. I've tried to raise the Yan. Apparently, our cook incapacitated at least 2 crew members on board the Yan with alcohol before having himself and a bag of snacks beamed over without telling me.
That's why
It
you
appears
don't
that
drink alcohol.
It appears that our current transporter chief is incapacitated by alcohol.
But
It's treason.
theirs is not.
Well, Core was in charge of the end of the transporter room on our ship. I haven't even. Have you found a transporter room on this ship? Other than a cargo transporter?
Not yet, more than likely.
You hadn't spotted one just yet. There may be a couple rooms left, and for all you know, there may be one here.
Not yet, but if something transported, then there must be a transporter room. No?
There will probably be one personnel transporter. There will be at least one cargo transporter, but we cannot use the cargo transporter. The resolution is too low. It's not meant for living things. Unless Raldar can stop fighting the ship and try to tweak it like he did before on the Yam. But I don't believe we have any power to make the ship's transporter function, seeing as apparently the only power we had was from a single fusion reactor, which is no longer functioning.
Very well. I will try
because of a ghost, apparently.
I will try to find this transporter room. Kresic out.
Raldar, see if you can find any kind of power anywhere where we can get lights and doors functional again. I'm sure there has to be an emergency backup reactor somewhere that's not in the engine pit. We have at least 2 on board our ship.
Very well, Captain.
And try not to fight the ship again.
Hey, he started it.
And if you talk to any more ghosts, get Kresic to you as quickly as you can. Maybe he can figure this out.
Very well.
And I think at that point that it's because I haven't heard from Azek on the bridge yet, that's where me and my 2 buddies are going to go head off towards.
As you make your way out into the corridor, you'll find that the bridge compartment, rather the part of the neck that would take you in that direction, has also been sealed by a bulkhead.
Can I open it?
You may attempt to do so. We'll call this with a... I think this is a little more difficult than your standard, than dealing with one of the doors. So I'm going to call this daring and engineering with a difficulty. I think I'm going to set this up as 4.
Would you like a momentum, Mr. Tabok?
Probably, yeah.
I suppose at this point you would also have Traven and Dakoth in tow.
Yes. That's why I said me and my 2 buddies.
Yep.
Seeing as the doors are powered, would my electroplasma systems focus be relevant?
I will allow them to be useful here while there is still some power left in the system.
Alrighty then.
You could also take an assist if you so wish.
Not from either of these guys. No, I don't trust Traven to fire a gun. I don't know why he has one. And sorry, Dakoth is not the sharpest tool in the attic. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Woo-hoo.
You don't have to be sharp for my.
I missed one die.
Yeah, yes, reroll. Okay, well that is 3 successes, so that is almost, but not quite enough. If you would like, Tabok, you may either choose to succeed at cost, which means that an automatic complication will ensue. You could also tap your point of determination by invoking a value that would be relevant, allowing you to re-roll that 0 and possibly gaining the last success that you need.
What value would work here? I don't lose that value, right? This
No,
isn't
you don't
burning
lose
up
a
of a value.
value unless you challenge it, in which case
Okay.
you would,
All right, then
if you ever challenged a value, you would actually get a point of determination back from that, and you would have to
all right, then I will
play.
spend my determination and use my value of this damned machine will do as I wish it.
Okay, so you may re-roll a single d20, presuming you only wish to re-roll the 0 that you got there.
Yes, I think that's the only one I'll reroll. So there we go.
Nice.
Okay. With considerable effort, you do manage to trigger some of the mechanisms and reverse whatever emergency signals uh, prompted the bulkhead to seal off in the first place and allow it to reopen. It seems to halt for a moment when it parts just enough to allow you like one person to go through at a time, but the maw very slowly and steadily widens out to where multiple people could cross through at this point. Probably from down the hall, I should note. Raldar is also at least visible, presuming he hasn't gone into the next room just yet. Or gone to look for a power system.
I mean, I probably would have done.
Who's at the Raldar is at the end?
Yeah.
Wait, how could?
Because he was in the reactor pit as well. He had dived out of there, and he was on the little conference call with you from just outside. Like he's near the aft of the ship because you're
Oh, he
all
was okay. So he was on the same side of the door, the bulkhead door, as we were.
yes.
Okay, I was confused for a moment.
You were headed
Right.
towards the bow end of the ship, towards the
Mm-hmm.
bridge. He was
Yep.
aft, and there was the bulkhead's basically shielded, like closed off those compartments, but the corridor itself has been left largely open.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so
Raldar, what are you waiting for? Find another reactor.
Aye, aye, Captain.
We're heading to the bridge. That's where we're headed.
okay, and so you find your way up, and the door opens. The door opens to the bridge, and Captain, you find yourself, and Azek, when last we left you, you had been working through some of the computers here, if memory serves.
Yep, looking through the logs. I think I went through the last two.
Yep. There was a momentary jump in power that seemed to light up a few more systems, but whatever spurred that seems to have gone out very quickly, and the bridge is dimming. It's going back into the standby mode once more, so let us move you to the map. As you are attempting to coax more out of the computer, the doors open behind you, and in walks Tabak, Dekoth, and Traven Lex.
Captain.
Status update now.
Well, and forgive me, this is 2 weeks ago, so I'm going based off the memory. The ship received a signal of some kind. They intervened, and all hell broke loose. And the logs kind of fade into oddity after that.
The only things that you got from the logs, there was one from a Captain Dukovich, done on the 31st day of Maktak in the year of Kalis 846. So just about a little less than 30 years earlier. Something about how an executive officer had gone crazy and tried to kill the captain, but the captain killed her in turn. Then there was another fragmented log that was dated the 48th day of Maktag, which was staticky and garbled as all get out, and basically suggested that the crew was or rather, something had gone crazy. There'd been some sort of betrayal. The captain was readying himself for a battle, and that is just about all you know.
All right, sorry, I don't know where I got this idea for a signal. But yeah, the ship seems to be quite a few years old.
So we have discovered.
It might have some parts that we could use for our old ship.
Well, getting back to our ship is the part that's going to be difficult. No one is answering my hails.
Lack of power will do that.
Well,
we had a momentary spike of power a few seconds ago, so maybe the ship had a good idea and then it faded.
Apparently, Raldar had to fight a ghost in the engine pit. And he had to shut off the one reactor he had going. But we're not getting back to our ship anytime soon because Traven got our transporter operator drunk. And no one is answering my hails.
I kind of look over at Traven and kind of give him a thumbs up, kind of like, nice.
Yep, I'm behind the captain, right?
Very much behind me, yes.
I give a thumbs up and I put it back down really quickly.
The funny thing is, the captain can't see you giving the thumbs up, but he definitely sees Azek giving the thumbs up.
Well, yeah, Azek can't quite hide it. He only has the one arm.
Yeah, and you're facing that direction.
You don't know if it was a sarcastic thumbs up or not.
It's a very, very human gesture, too.
You should see the gesture, very human gestures my other arm does.
Dekoth mulls over that. But how can we see
I'm
that? You
mulling
don't.
that over to
Oh.
Oh, Dekoth gets it.
Captain, if we, I'm thinking if we can figure out how to get the docking ports of these ships together, we might be able to siphon some power off of the other ship, the Yan, to assist us. But with what you mentioned about there being ghosts on here,
also not being able to get anyone to answer my hails. That is also a problem.
Well, I did participate in some 0G combat training, so do I need to go on a spacewalk and jump over there? I think, maybe. I don't know.
I didn't bring a pressure suit, did you?
There's got to be one here somewhere. Or maybe an escape pod.
You served in the Imperial Navy. Escape pods?
For the cowards.
They get blasted in the head. If you can find a vac suit and you can get across, I think we're only a couple of 100 meters away, theoretically.
Does this ship have torpedoes?
Not a freighter like this.
Okay.
It would have disruptors. It's not gonna. I don't know if it would have torpedo launchers, but Klingon ships are historically overarmed compared to other ships of the same class and type by other polities. Yeah. If you can get over there, find out what's going on.
Klingon Empire, proud supporters of the Second Amendment.
Jeez.
No, for the Klingons, that isn't even an amendment. That's a given.
I'll go over to the computer. Is there any displays that tell how much air we have?
I would say at this point, none of the displays, everything is kind of in a dimly powered mode, or like nothing is necessarily responding. All the screens are more or less blank, save for the one that you were using, which gave you, at least for a time, it was giving you access to the logs. There's not a lot that is working here very easily.
And we're still breathing the last blast of the 30-year-old life support system, maybe slightly augmented by what we got when we had some power. But there's only a handful of us on a ship built for a crew of about 12 to 20. So we may have some time.
It is also possible, Captain, Dakoth chimes in, that some life support was reactivated by the Creel when those scavengers beamed aboard the ship. We don't know, however, if they wasted more than they generated when they were on board.
Don't know either, but I also don't know what destroyed their ship. So, if you can get to the Yan, Korg, do. Do you need assistance from anyone?
No, I'm pretty handy. I'll figure it out.
You're not as handy as you could be.
I know. That I've been thinking about that lately. But that's for another chapter, another story.
Take Traven with you. He can help you, and it gets him away from me.
You didn't happen to bring any of that alcohol with you, did you?
I
No.
did not. No, but I brought snack.
All right, we need to head to the
Nearest airlock.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Birdful.
Well, let's see here then. I think that going about here, we should probably do one additional check-in with Kresic here. Otherwise, I think that from there we could go ahead with one more sort of narrative and like roll, or like a roll for initiative to determine how we go from here. I would say a one roll from Tabak, one from Azik, and I guess Kresic, we can check in with you first, or you can factor yourself into that role if you would prefer to possibly wait.
I don't mind factoring myself into the role.
Okay, then you can go into. You can roll with them as well.
The D20 roll?
Sorry.
It's just a D20
yeah, just
roll,
a single
right?
D20 roll. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Roldar, if you have anything that you want to do as well, you may also do that.
I need to go down into the subdeck to find a gas generator so we can get off.
Okay, I'm not rolling anything for some reason.
Okay, try just, you see the bar on the left side, or rather the column? I would just go through that. I know it's not as fun as the typed commands, but... Okay, well, looks like we are going to Kresic first, then.
That is quite alright.
Yep. Raldar, if you wish to roll as well. Okay, 19. So, looks like the order for narrative, we will be going to Mr. Kresic first anyway. Then we will be following with Azik and Traven. And then I guess the captain and Raldar will have to duel each other in either honorable combat or an engineering face-off of some sort. And we will determine who goes on from there. But we'll touch base with everybody else there in a moment. First, let us go back to Kresic. So, Kresic, would you like to continue searching around the sick bay for anything? Do you feel like do you need any sort of a recap before we get to things, or?
Let me just make sure that I get through my recap properly. Make sure I remember everything.
Yep.
Went into sickbay, found Klingon-esque skeleton strapped to the table. Skull fell off. Picked up skull. Looked at skull.
Skull has cranial ridges, even though the readings, or like your best guess would suggest that this person bears the physique more of a Klach. The For those that don't recall the terms here, for anyone in the audience, there are roughly 3 variants of Klingon at this point. There are the Hemhook, the sort of traditional Klingons that they're the ones you probably think of with like from the Next Generation, Voyager, all that sort of thing. The DS9, think Worf, the distinctive cranial ridges, hair that would fit perfectly well with many an 80s hairband, um, and the fun armor type stuff. That's the general aesthetic you get with that. There are the Koha, the smooth four-headed Klingons who generally were portrayed in the original series, and then there are the Kuhawi. Those are sort of the most modern portrayal of Klingons, such as anyone who watched Discovery would have seen. The differences being that the Koha were inadvertently created when a plague struck the Empire, one of their own partial design at least, and that in an effort to cure that and restore a Klingon look, the Kohawi were created in like with some genetic engineering and cranial reconstructive surgery, a whole big process that wound up creating a somewhat Klingon aesthetic, but had some after effects of sorts, thus making a far more alien look in some ways. So you discovered a Kulha, Kresik, but there were signs of growths that were consistent with a sort of cranial ridge that was starting to grow.
And this cranial ridge, the bone structure of that, does it seem accelerated?
I think
or does it seem natural? If that makes sense of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for signs that this bone structure was not originally on the patient.
So that much I could say that you probably recognized as likely artificial, or that wasn't present when this initially when this person was born necessarily. They probably were born a Kohak. You can't tell exactly how fast these cranial ridges grew, but it was definitely something that sprang up. It had to have been in a relatively recent time frame.
Okay. So I'm going to look around for any kind of doctor's logs or notes, anything that could have been left behind here from whoever was the ship's doctor.
Okay. Well, there's not much of the system that would probably be operational. You may, I will say, if you want to attempt a task at this, you may well be able to gain some bit of information. Let's call this. I will give you a reason and I'll allow for science in this particular case as you try to access the logs.
All right, and imagine none of my focuses apply because this is just accessing computer systems.
Yep, and this would be a difficulty of 3 because of the, in part because of the diminishing power and the general difficulty with functionality that you're dealing with right now.
Anyone mind if I take a momentum?
No, go ahead.
Also, just in this time, I did want to say thank you, DQ Quartermain, for giving us the follow here. I hope you're enjoying the show. And that is 3 successes there.
Sorry, I accidentally pressed it twice because it didn't. There's some stuff going on with my dice roller. I don't know what's going on right now.
It's okay. I understand. You got excited. You got off a good roll. You rolled a second time. It happens. But I will take that first one because those are the 3 successes that count, and count very much towards getting you a little bit of information here. So it seems as though there were 3, rather, there were 3 successes, of course. There were a few files that seem left over. It appears to be a couple of files from the original Doctor. Let's see.
All right.
So I will specifically I will set it to, let's call this 3 of them here. Or 3 entries that were dated during the month of Maktak. One as early as, it seems, the 14th day of Maktak, and the other one, let's see, the others appear to happen during the 37th day the 40th day, and the last one comes on the 44th day.
All right. I'm going to take a look at the first one.
Okay. The first file seems to be of an autopsy that occurred. There is you get the wizened face of I would say a Klingon Koha in probably advancing into from middle age into what would be considered older age. It appears to be a Koha male, essentially. Medical officers report Dr. Uhoch reporting. The deceased individual appears to have passed of natural causes. The Tar, famed doctor in the House of Gorel. He should not have been on this trip, perhaps. He was in a patient. The deceased was in advanced age. Appears to have passed in his sleep. I would say this old Kohach, he simply gave out. Attaching routine medical scans to this file here. For what it is worth, I am lodging a point of protest with the captain. No one at this age should have to die out in the void away from their family. Should not have taken on this passenger. With this, the log ends.
Next one.
So the file rejoins with the doctor going over this. Dr. Ulhuk's reporting. This is information that documenting a very unusual case. Hopefully one that is not spreading amongst the crew. We have had 2 deaths at this point, both from challenges, which, while not quite out of place, had both unusual circumstances around them. Junior weapons officer Yakash has showing unusual signs of aggression, similar to those of our commander, approximately 6 days prior. Much like Commander Galara, the weapons officer seemingly erupted, if the account is to be believed, with little or no provocation before the attack came. They are both also partial to not simply fighting with usual fist and blade, but they've been more partial to bite the afflicted individuals. I am presently examining our weapons officer, and hopefully by keeping them strapped in here, they will not be of any problem. We've contained this, I hope. Log closes out.
And then I look at the last one.
During that one, the log comes up and the same doctor stands before you, slumped slightly to the side, or with his with one hand brushed up to it, like supporting himself on the table, whilst in his mouth he pulls a bandage taut around one of his arms. Medical officer's report. Dr. Ulok reporting. My initial attempts at discerning a cause here remained ineffective. More so, containment measures. I do not know where this is coming from, but others are beginning to show similar signs. We have had one more dead, although I do not know whether they were infected. I myself may not have as long for this world. I have encouraged Captain Dukovich to consider a distress call, or in worst case, a probe dispatch to inform them of our final fate, as well as activation of a self-destruct sequence. He looks down at the bandaged wound. I am too slow to handle all of this, but if what I'm understanding, I may yet be able to pass on a little bit of information here. There is variability in how this condition advances, but when the bodily fluids come into contact, there is a lead time of incubation, somewhere between 10 minutes to as little as 10 minutes to a half hour. Although the virus has become, if it is that, I must admit I cannot say for sure. It has become more potent. From there, the condition it begins taking effect within 1 to 4 hours, although there may be some variability there as well. If the immune system is strong and the will is good, the aggression, changes in bone structure I've not been able to understand. But I might have a readout here that would give us some clue as to what is going on. I'm attaching that file here. If anyone does see this afterwards, if we should fail, I hope you win the fight that I seem I may not. Log ends, and Kresic, a data attachment is indeed there, or at least it is for one moment before it disappears.
What was I able to get from it?
There were you were beginning to see some readouts from what seemed to be a medical scanner before the screen was wiped.
Wiped. Not power dead. Screen was wiped.
Can't have you letting your unworthy eyes get so close.
Unworthy.
I am this close to greatness, And a Hadeba such as you has no right.
So there are spirits aboard this ship.
Be gone, or become that which will nurture the future.
Before I leave, your name.
My name shall be known to all when greatness is achieved. There is a flicker behind you, Kresic. A flash of white light out of your peripheral vision. You turn, and before you, in pure white, flickering in and out, this seemingly ancient but dignified Koha stands before you, from meeting you at your height before getting taller and larger, nearly taking up the full height of the room. This is my ship.
Can I do a check on this?
You can, but first I am going to roll an intimidation check.
All right.
So this you will be able to contest, but this will be presence and security. And with the talent I have, I actually can roll a different attribute here. And it will also...
It's presence and security for me?
I think that actually presence and command would... control and command might actually apply to keep your composure. Oh dear, that's terrible. Well, I just rolled 0 successes there, but I feel like that's anticlimactic. So I am going to tap the value. I am this close to greatness and allow it to re-roll. 2 successes. So you have to beat 2.
And do any of my focuses apply?
I don't know. What do you think?
Probably
here?
1.
I'm thinking maybe infectious diseases?
It may apply later, but not quite here.
Okay, pharmacology then.
Ooh, I don't think this is that type of hallucination here,
Okay,
Doc.
then I guess the only one left is paranormal phenomena, but...
Hey, you got it! We're clipping this later, I promise you. You just meet it.
That was reason and science. Oh, that's my bad.
Oh, whoops.
My presence and command is a total of 10.
Okay, so let's see here. Would you like to give that a roll here then?
Yeah.
If we were to take just that roll there, neither of those would meet. You manage to just balance this out. So I will say the intimidation does not cause you to lose your will, although this figure that has manifested before you, flickering in and out, but still growing to a fearsome size, and as the words rush past you like wind passing by it, like wind passing by your face. It's you manage to keep your composure. As a matter of fact, give me a sense of Kressic's internal monologue as he processes this.
Kressic looks at this and he's at first very shocked by the appearance, and he's running through like what it could be. It's not any kind of projection field. It's not hallucination. And after a moment, after the initial size and sound goes by, he takes a small step back and just slowly brings his head up and down and just scans this thing. Just slowly, calmly, and pulls out his tricorder as he is trying to make sense of what this is. He's heard stories of creatures that exist as energy, creatures that exist beyond physical limitations, but never Klingons. Klingons always seemed a little too basic for such things.
Ow.
So he is not convinced that it's a Klingon. Whatever this phantasm is. But he is also convinced that whatever this is a real entity.
Okay, so I will allow you to conduct a reason and science roll. However, I am going to spend a point of threat to increase your complication range. Otherwise, I think this would be a reason and science. I think the difficulty on this, I guess if you're trying to screen out some sort of energy-based life form here or make a determination there, that would be... let's take this up to difficulty 3 here. No, it's actually, for good reason, I'm going to call this 2.
All right. Can I spend a point of momentum?
Sure. We had 4, and he's only got 1, so kind of happy about that at the moment.
Reason, science.
Reason and science would definitely apply.
Don't forget that your focus counts.
Oh yes, I did. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Didn't forget?
I did not forget. I factored it in. All right, 2 successes.
Okay, and with a drink of warm apple cider, I can continue to speak now.
Oh, that's important.
Speaking or the apple cider?
This voice hurts.
Understandable.
Yeah, Kresic, as you begin to initiate the scan, you look through and you begin to understand a little bit more about exactly what you are dealing with. Indeed, as your little hobby has indeed helped you maintain your composure, but it maybe has slightly warped your perspective here. But something definitely untoward is going on. The results begin to pour into your data pad. And as you get them, the figure simply nods. Do not stand in my way further.
You.
And it vanishes.
Okay. I continue to stare where it was.
And the results do indeed appear in your scanners.
Yes, I see that.
Yep. And it answers one question for you, Kresic, but it leaves quite a few more on your list at this point. Elsewhere, let us cut over to I guess this would be up with Traven and Azik.
The party team.
Yeah. So, I dare say for the two of you that probably allow me to go back and because the layouts are similar but obviously not the same given the significant difference in size, and there's a good bit of conjecture that necessarily comes into this just because it is such a smaller, chunkier ship, and it is one designed for cargo as opposed to the raiding and scouting craft that that a Raptor would have been. But let's see. I'm just going back to the notes I had here. Just one moment. Uh, so in terms of airlocks, I suspect there probably would have been something either the deck below you, somewhere near like one of the cargo bays. There was also likely one by auxiliary cargo excuse me, a few decks up where you would expect that the cargo pod, like the auxiliary cargo pods are because of the difference in layout here. Uh, there might be one somewhere on the main deck or something a little closer, but I'm not precisely sure. Let's see here. Where would you be trying to head, or would you be going in a particular direction?
How are the bulkheads or the cargo pods docked? Are they just segments, or do they like dock in and then they're kind of their own separate areas?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering that myself. Are they just
Yeah.
pods that are attached, underslung,
So
or are they accessible from inside the ship?
that's a good question.
Like actually getting inside the thing.
Yes. So the ventral mounted pods, or for those not familiar with the lingo, basically what would, if you envision the ship as like they're having a proper top and bottom in space, if you're thinking about it on a plane, then there is on the bottom side of the ship, basically along its belly, there are a number of cargo pods. And they do have a proper. There are proper latches that would allow, or like hatches that would link up to them and allow you to enter those pods, possibly if they were pressurized and whatnot. There's, I imagine, at least some element of being able to, wanting to be able to inspect solid cargo. Uh, I think that it would be fair to say that there are some cases where they mount additional cargo that doesn't need to be looked at in that sense differently. Like deuterium pods will sometimes get mounted there, but there isn't the same type of linkages there.
Bulk liquids and bulk solids, like grain or like an entire tank full of wine or whatever it happens to be carrying, chemicals.
Yes.
Yeah, those would probably just be sealed off and not accessible.
Yes, but I would say that there are some cargo pods that are indeed mounted in such a way that it can be accessed.
Are there any of those cargo pods that have I guess with the power off, there wouldn't be any like indication of what they might be inside.
There was no readout on the. There's no readout from the pods earlier.
You're talking like a manifest?
I mean,
yeah,
you haven't been able.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at the start, Vopri did not roll terribly well with the sensors, so he was not able to discern anything about the contents of those pods. For your part, Azik, you haven't been able to find a manifest. There's scarcely any computer that is working terribly well for you on this ship. So you could go down and look at those contents. It would just involve a trip down to the subdeck.
Yeah, why don't we go check that out? While we do that, Traven, I'm very curious about this alcohol that you shared. How did you manage to get that on the ship?
I was making it in my spare time.
You cobbled together a still.
We'll just small talk while we head down there, so we can continue on with the scene. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah, bloodline's like normal wine. All he needs is a sealable gallon.
Yep. So heading down to the subdeck then, near where the cargo is and an airlock there, or up to the crew decks?
The subdeck.
Okay. The door opens to the subdeck. It is even more sparsely illuminated than the rest of the ship. And go ahead and give me a security and insight roll, difficulty 2 from both of you. I will award momentum to the highest roll if it exceeds the, or if you both succeed, or otherwise if one of you succeeds more so than the other.
Would my survival focus help me?
I don't think so here.
Okay.
I would like to mention, if it's too late, that's fine. Azek would have his disruptor out.
Copy that.
It wouldn't be in like a threatening position, just down, but it would be in his hand.
Yep. So, partly for effect here, Traven, with a single success, you look down as the door opens to the corridor. You look, and you're pretty sure you see a giant hulking figure that is, or like some sort of form that is moving and shifting things, possibly tearing things out of the corridor ahead of you.
Gun out?
What's that?
For sure. I pull out the disruptor pistol for sure.
Okay, so you're leveling the disruptor in that general direction then?
I have it to the side, but I'm getting prepared to shoot. I don't want it to be threatened if it's actually conscious.
Oh. You mean if it's not if it's sexually friendly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Azek, you see Traven pull out the disruptor, and I would look in the roll 20 there.
Yep, I'll unfortunately, there's only one way to do this when you have one arm, but I'll basically use my disruptor to lower his gun. No need to worry. It's a friend of ours.
Yep.
Awesome.
And from the at this point, through a bit of smoke that appears to have emerged out of an unusually damaged bit of segment there, Raldar, you find your way working. You find yourself knee deep in one of the auxiliary systems of the ship, or like trying to find a way to jump one of the emergency power systems, when you hear voices from you hear the elevator open to a that opens up into this section, and you hear voices.
Hello?
Raldar, how goes it?
Yeah, Isaac. Not well, not well.
Is there any way we can give you a hand or three?
Well, if you find anything still sparking power, a good amount of it, or to be turned on, let me know.
Well, that's kind of why we're down here. we were trying to figure out if there was a way that we could bring the Yan over closer to this ship and basically dock them together. Unfortunately, it sounds like the crew of the Yan is a little disposed at the moment, and we need to figure out how to either get somebody back over there. I was thinking a spacesuit and basically flying over there, since transporters don't seem to be an option. What do you think?
Well, that's not a terrible idea. I wouldn't recommend docking the ship, though. I wouldn't like whatever's on this thing getting onto our ship.
That's true. It sounds like there's quite a bit of spooky spook on here.
Is that the technical term?
We're the priest.
Captain, you're here?
No, sorry. That was my bad.
To be fair, I'm sure Raldar also recognizes that phrase from the Klingon Imperial Fleet Handbook. It sounds a lot better in the original Klingon.
Okay.
Somebody tried to translate off of the books.
Okay. For our dialogue, I gotcha.
Yep. So.
Well, we just need to find a spacesuit then, unless we can figure out one of these cargo containers, if we could figure out a way to float it out that way. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not.
No, I'm enough of. Well, let's check if they have any individual power units. We might be able to tie a bunch of batteries together and get a transporter working.
Well, we're here to help, so whatever you need.
No looking. I'll join you in a bit. This conduit still has potential.
So, you, I guess, do the two of you head on down the hallway towards where you suspect the nearest airlock would be?
Birds.
Yep.
I'll move you guys up a little bit further. Passing the large Gorn engineer as he tries to negotiate with various bits of equipment from the ship.
It's called percussion engineering.
Yeah. Traven, as you make your way past, you feel almost like a rush of air, as if the life support system pulsed a bit. This one is little more than feed stock. But you, even in your advanced stage, potential.
Azek pauses.
What?
Wait, what? Who's talking?
That's not me.
Raldar, was that you?
What?
Did we fly through that asteroid that we hit a few little ways back, where the gas, like hallucinations and stuff again?
Oh. What did you hear?
It was hard to tell, but it was some voice saying that there was potential and feedstock. I couldn't quite completely make out what they were talking about.
That's probably the evil spirit.
It did sound a bit, how do the humans call it?
Creepy.
Senile?
My mind remains as sharp as ever, and you shall experience it. Maybe you shall even see greatness. And with that,
How great?
go ahead, Traven.
How great are we talking?
You get out maybe half of that when, from some of the exposed and broken vents here, just puff out with smoke here. Let's move that. Raldar, a good bit of that gets into your face. Through that, Traven, Azek, if either of you are looking back towards Raldar, you see what seem to be flitting shapes. You'd swear there's some sort of individual in almost in the smoke there.
That's okay. My uncle had a smoking problem too.
Yeah. This one is more incident than one I would expect for that. No little matter. We shall see if it takes to you. And with that, there is a sudden sound of rupturing and bursting as like bits of bar and conduit get shoved aside by two figures that have now entered the corridor.
Oh.
And they roll out and begin to shriek. And
So you invited friends?
The nearest one just looks to you, Azek, baring its teeth.
Why are they ruining our new ship?
Any final witty comment before combat is joined?
I had something on the tip of my tongue, but it left me.
Don't you know smoking's bad for you?
Let's smoke these guys.
It's one of them. The one I'm assuming you said one of them was snarling, kind of like.
Yes.
That's one hell of a smile you got there. Maybe they just want a hug.
Enough of this.
Go ahead.
Waka waka. You're now in combat.
There's a part of me that wanted to say, "Go get him, Raldar!" Like, go get him, Ray.
Go get him, Traven. Oh.
Die.
Anyway, but seeing as how you're in combat, the first turn does go to you, technically.
Well, a change of events. I guess Disruptor to the closest one.
Okay, this is near enough. I would say it is close. It's not quite in melee, so I will spare you the difficult task there. Are you aiming for lethal, as in quick death, kill it now, or non-lethal, injure it severely, and hopefully slow death?
Let's go with slow death.
Okay, so you will take no point of threat there. Or rather, the GM will take no point of threat there. And that would be control and security difficulty 2. Okay, and that is one success, so the smoke is creating just enough of a distortion ahead of you to throw off your aim. That night, I do have to wonder, was Azek always left-handed?
I believe so.
Well, that at least doesn't account for the difficulty here, but alas. Before I make a move, do you guys want to keep the initiative?
What do you think, guys?
We have 3 momentum.
Let's hold off. think.
Okay. So the one I think the one nearest you is going to see the flash, and it is just going to go straight through the smoke and try to come at you, Isaac. So the first of these hulking creatures approaches you. They are going in for a simple daring and security, or like a melee style strike. So you may contest with daring and security of your own.
And I'll use my hand-to-hand combat for this. Woohoo!
That works. Oh dear. So you technically, I rolled a single success to mine, and you managed to roll 2 successes, but you have also rolled a complication there. So first, you do get 1 momentum back, which we'll hold off on just in case you decide you want to use it for this complication here. As to that, would you prefer to take a narrative complication, give the GM points of threat, or would you prefer to spend the momentum to buy it off?
Let's spend the momentum to buy it off.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's free floating. Good.
yeah, counting the incoming momentum, you only need to spend 1 from. Well, you only need 1 from your pool plus the incoming, and that takes care of that. Uh, that being said, the creature comes in, and I guess you basically have the option to pistol whip it, elbow it, or give it a kick, something like that. How does the old graceful warrior that you are manage to? How do you go about this?
He's going to
Kick it in the
gladly pistol whip him. Shenanigans! Pistol whip.
Yep. Okay, so that will be a. I think that. I actually think that since you're working with the pistol here, technically that counts as a bludgeon. So we will. You can go ahead and roll unarmed damage on that, but I will. I will allow you to temporarily increase that to by 1, because I believe bludgeons, if memory serves, they do 2 base damage in terms of challenge dice, and then there's a slightly different set of effects. And I'm just pulling that up right now. Okay. Apologies, everyone. It's taking a moment just to locate this. Oh dear, oh dear. Wait, improvised attacks. That's where it is. Okay. So 2 plus 2 at the. Okay, so I was right. All right. So that'll be 3 points of damage. However, I think in this case it would effectively resist that. You manage to just kind of bop it in the face a little bit, and it's only for like a beat taken aback, but it is immediately readying itself to go back into like a proper engagement here. It is.
You booped it in the snoot.
Yes, you booped this creature. It is now within reach, however, of both you and Traven. So, if either of you attempt basically ranged attacks, or if you're not using hand-to-hand combat with the disruptors, basically, it is going to increase the difficulty for you to make an attack. So, turn order goes back to you. Traven, Raldar, either of you may still act. Does one of you wish to go?
Is Big Boy facing me, or is he facing the other 2?
The one nearest you is facing your direction, Raldar. But he is
Traven.
technically close, but not in reach yet.
Raven, would you mind if I shot this one in the face?
Yeah, no, take the chance while you can to shoot him, for sure.
Don't miss.
I'll be fine.
Okay. This is control and security difficulty 2.
Can't aim because I pulled out the gun, so. Boop. 2.
Okay, that is definitely going to hit. presume by the shoot him in the face, you were going for the lethal quick death? Or are you going for slower death, like serious injury, but technically non-lethal?
So just a serious injury.
Okay, so the GM will not take a point of threat for that, but you may roll damage for your disruptor.
I just remembered I had the rifle.
Oh.
Yes, you did.
Oh goodness.
Oh dear.
Ooh.
Remember the last time you used that rifle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So just taking
I did, however, love the groan from the GM when he was reminded you had a rifle. I know that groan. I know that groan. I make it all the time.
That is enough to inflict an injury. So, yeah, you hit this thing with the disruptor. Again, I presume I'm taking your words literally. You aimed for the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's big.
The sickly bolt of green departs from your rifle and makes contact with this thing, giving it a serious hit to the I'll say to the right side of its face. Parts of it have just completely melted away. Like there are large bits of the cheek that are now just gone, exposing half melted teeth, fangs that are bared out and multi-layered. Um, at least one eye has also been just completely congealed, and its ear is molten, bubbling like fragment of what it was. That this you've dealt this a pretty serious blow, uh, but somehow a shot that with as strong as your disruptor rifle had not mere weeks ago vaporized the one Klingon governor. It does say something rather concerning or very deeply troubling about this thing's will and constitution, like just how capable this thing is of still surviving. Um, Nonetheless, it doesn't look like it's going to be able to make an immediate go of you. So let's see here. Ooh. I think that with that particular strike, that still constitutes an injury which would inhibit its ability to actually do anything. And I certainly do not have the threat to currently resist that, nor does this thing have any values. So.
Oh, good. That's nice to know.
Yes. So, that being the case, I think that we will have big boy number 2 then, the one near Traven and Azek, react again. Considering its prey, let's see what its rough thought process is. I'm just going to roll a flat d20, with the lower erring towards the more threatening and the lower deciding to go towards easier prey. Oop. Traven it is. All right, so this time it is just going in for the one mutant that's near you, Traven. It goes from Azek to you to Azek again, for looking at you, and then just snarling and rapidly closing the distance with a terrible swipe of its clawed hand. Give me a daring and security roll.
All right.
Haha. Nope.
Oof.
No, Raldo, that wasn't actually you there. But Traven, you meet with no successes.
No complications.
Yeah, no complications at least. Just the the other thing managed to score 2 successes. So I guess to be fair, Traven, you haven't really had to do a lot of fisticuffs or anything of the sort.
I do have a. What do values do?
Values, they can give you when you invoke them, you can use a point of determination, which can either give you an auto critical success before a roll, it can allow you to re-roll a dice pool after a roll, it could otherwise create narrative advantages or allow you to ignore an injury.
Okay. I'm gonna wait for the injury roll.
Okay, so the claw
It's probably
makes
a plan.
the claw makes contact for 5
Oh, that ain't good.
points of damage with vicious 1. That is 7 points of damage, which is definitely enough to inflict stress on you. And well, I don't think it hunts non-lethally, so I expend a point of threat there. So it aims to deal 1 lethal injury to you.
May I invoke my for honor and glory value?
I will allow that.
Yes. I
Well,
want
you're
to take
not
that
dead,
weird.
Jim.
So you invoke for honor and glory. I guess hoping not to be part of this grand battle and not go out right away.
I don't want to
Did
go
not go.
down. I have so much to prove.
That's as
He
good
doesn't want to go out like a little bitch.
I don't want to disappoint Space Dad.
it's as good a reason as any. So you will ignore the injury, but you will take 7 points of stress. And you will also get knocked prone to the floor. I think that this thing, if it had aimed just a little bit higher, with as thick as its claws are, it would have gored out your throat. But instead, it rakes across your chest, and you get a classic TOS slice to your shirt.
Torn shirt.
Yep. The snacks took the worst of it. Anything you had festooned like a mercenary's utility belt. But that tear only lasts a moment before blood just begins gushing out.
I can't believe you messed with my snacks.
And yeah, with that, you are also knocked to the ground a little ways behind Azek. So yeah.
Ow!
The turn order now goes back to you guys. Traven, you are knocked prone at the moment. You can get back up if you wish to do something. Otherwise, you can pass to Azek or Raldar.
Can I shoot from the ground?
I think that you can, but you take increased difficulty because you are prone.
Fair enough. We're gonna pass to somebody else for sure. They're better at it than me.
Okay. Which of you would like to go?
Go ahead.
Raldar looks like he's giving it to you.
Oh boy.
Go get him, Raldar.
I can shoot him again.
Are you aiming for the closer one, or are you trying to hit the one engaging Raldar and Traven?
I'm going to deal with the closer one before it gets too close.
Yeah, I don't think you can actually see what's going on down there. With
Yeah,
this
the
big old
smoke
thing
does.
in his face.
The smoke is a little bit of a hazard in terms of being able to see those things. Okay, so Raldar, you may attempt to take another shot here with a difficulty 2 control and security roll. I will ask beforehand, are you aiming to finish the job, as it were? And kill the thing? Okay.
Yes.
So I will wait to see whether you succeed. If you do, the GM will take a point of threat for death.
Aim action. Success.
Okay. With those 2 successes there's no need to re-roll from the aim, and you manage to strike true at this thing. And the GM will take a point of threat as your disruptor bolt. Let's see. Just to check, that is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 points of damage, 2 of which are resisted. And that is going to be enough to vaporize the creature ahead of you.
You set it to frame.
Yep. The thing right ahead of you just dissipates into a fine bloodied mist. And with that, before you can prepare your next assault, however, the other creature near Azek at this point snarls around and makes another go at you. It is going in for an additional attack. And let's see, it is going for a bite. So, Azek, this is going to be daring and security with a contested difficulty here.
You want a momentum? Never mind.
Nah. I probably should have taken it, but no.
Yeah.
I'm going to tap one of its talents here that allows it a bonus D20 for melee, but with an increase in complication tasks.
The bite is the infectious one, Azek. You're not going to be fine.
Okay, so that is enough to gain 1 point of threat. However, there is a complication there. Let's see here.
Azek is poisonous, so he dies. Yeah.
I like it.
Always remember that the difference between poisonous and venomous is who's biting whom.
Just great.
Okay, well, technically, so I think that part of the issue here would be that the bite does make contact, and I should roll damage very quickly, just to see where that goes.
A flesh wound.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be that would be 7 points of damage with vicious, and it is intense, which increases the cost to ignore that injury by 2. However, I think that for the bite there, I am going to rule, or rather for the complication, I think that Azek would be able to just kind of pull away, so the bite, while it makes contact, I will allow you to drag yourself back from it and not take the injury that would have come with that.
Yeah.
Yep. But I did gain a point of threat there, which I am, rather than spending right away, I'm going to use that immediately along with the others to expose you to a hazard.
You're exposing yourself?
So this is a kid show.
It's not made for kids. I check that box on YouTube every single time. But yes, so Azek, you managed to pull away your arm, slightly bloodied from where the bite has hit you, and I'll give you that you just managed to kind of disengage with it. While you have the pretty large bite wound, your injury is not such that you are inhibited from using your arm, so you can still try to fight this thing.
Yay!
The turn order goes back to you guys, so what would you like to do next?
I want to shoot it.
Okay, I will allow you as a minor action to move back just a little bit. And then you can take aim at this thing. It is partly still obscured in the smoke, but you're close enough to it that I think that you could still get it off at a difficulty 2 shot.
And I would like to take a momentum for this shot. And it's control and security for shooting?
Correct. 3 successes there.
Pew, pew, pew.
Nice.
Okay, your disruptor bolt, you managed to level it perfectly. Are you going lethal or non-lethal here?
Oh, we're gonna game on. He scratched my arm, so it's going lethal.
Copy that. So GM will take 1 point of threat. Go ahead and roll damage. Also, you do I guess technically you didn't need to drop momentum for it, but you did get it back with what Azek rolled there. And
Already dead.
Yep. With the, let's see, that is 1, 2, 4 points of damage with the effect there for Vicious 1. So you do have the option of re-rolling damage dice in combat for 1 point of momentum. It allows you to re-roll as many of those as you like.
Yeah, we're getting to that point where I want to kill this thing, so
okay.
I will re-roll.
If you go up to the dice roller, just below where it sets the D20s, you should see the challenge dice slot. Set that value to 4, press enter, and then press the roll button. Okay.
There we go.
So that gives you an additional 3 points, and one of those is an effect. So for Vicious 1, that brings it up to 8 points of damage. It resists 2 of those, but that is still 6 points of damage, and that is an injury. So you managed to stumble it very badly with that last disruptor shot as it clutches into its side. Your anger pouring out along with the distorted green bolt of energy and the chaos that briefly swirls through the air and dissipates some of the sprayed gas ahead of you. You've definitely caused this thing a bit of pain in the process. You may be a worthy one yet. Time shall tell. The voice interjects again, and with that, the warm orangish yellow light of a transporter beam is engaged, and the creature ahead of you vanishes.
Cowards! Azek yells into the darkness.
You cowards!
Ow. So you.
All right, let's do a medic check on our buddy here.
You begin moving over to tend to your wounded. Traven is obviously the most seriously injured here. Traven, if you just want to, you have 2 options here in terms of tasks here. I'll say that there's either you can conduct your own sort of recover task, which is basically you just kind of psyching yourself up here and restoring your, regaining your will. It's kind of a softer way of restoring the hit points, essentially. That is a difficulty 2 fitness and command roll. I think I could actually... we could reduce it to 1 since it generally says that if you are in cover, but in this case you're not really under threat right now, or nothing's attacking you, so I would allow for that. Alternatively, you could have somebody conduct first aid on you, which would be a daring and medicine roll with a difficulty of 1. Who's liking what option?
Are y'all good at medicine?
No.
I have 2 points in it. That's it.
He has
I
more
wanna-
than me.
I have a 7 fitness and a 5 command, so I don't know who's better at what.
You
Get
could
in
always
cover, then.
you could always go back upstairs and try to talk to the doctor.
Doctor.
The doctor is planning on trying to contact everyone soon, anyways.
I'm gonna do the fitness command to get myself a little bit so I can make the trip up to the doctor without any complications.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Try to psych yourself up here.
I'm going to use my joined talent, and I'm gonna gain a focus for this.
Okay.
Traven, do you have any of those gawk pockets with you?
I do not. I didn't grab those snacks. The snacks are dead. They're gone. Alright, I got this.
You do not know
Fudge!
Patrick got this.
Nope.
Wow.
The mere mention of the Gach pockets has left you utterly distraught. You are in a cold, dead freighter and have been attacked by monsters. You are not okay right now, and you do not feel okay as blood is dripping from your chest.
Uh,
And I think that at this point, as you, I'll take a few moments to just role play a little bit of panic or not great mental shape.
I have a question.
Yes.
Advisor says when I assist another character using my command discipline that the character being assisted may re-roll a d20. Can that be myself?
You cannot
Since I'm psyching myself up?
You cannot advise yourself. A trill may have a joined trill such as yourself might have multiple life experiences there, but this is going to step too far.
So my inner turmoil.
The recovery task difficulty is reduced by 1 if you're in cover.
Yes, but he rolled 0 on both. He had a 15 and an 18, neither of which met the target number of 12. So he did not succeed.
Sad.
Yes.
Sad.
Yeah. So Raldar, Azek, you see the Trill Man trying to get himself into reasonable shape, but he is a bloody, sputtering mess right now. Your chef, surprise, surprise, is ill-equipped to deal with whatever these creatures were.
I'll attempt a medicine. What is it? Control medicine?
Daring and medicine with a difficulty of 1.
I can do that.
Hey.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
2 successes there, which is enough to meet that and get you back a point of momentum. And I think that the way I have generally treated this as a house rule, let's see, Azek, go ahead and set the dice to, go ahead and roll 2 challenge dice for me. Remember to press enter first, then roll. There you go. Okay, and I will give you back, we'll call that 2 points of stress there. So, Azek apparently had just a little bit of some sort of pain medication on him, some sort of hypo. I don't know, did you just give him errant pills that you had for something?
For theatrical effect, I give him a half-eaten hot pocket, or gawk pocket, apply it to the wound.
It cures everything. I'm a god.
Either that or maggots got into the gach pocket and are starting to clean out your wound. Either way, you are reassured, and the doctor is going to have his hands full later.
That's what it was missing. Maggots.
Yes. In any case,
Lobfly maggots. Great.
he will have more to figure out, not just with your wounds, Traven, but with the bite left behind for Azek. And those are things that we are going to touch on next session. So we are glad everybody joined us tonight for Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. For those of you catching
I'm
us on...
glad nobody died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surprise. Save
You
the...
know you died a little inside every time Gawk Pockets got brought up.
Yes, yes, I do.
Well,
Every single time.
for those of you catching us on the archive, this is where we're going to leave off. If you want to join us for the continued Spooksgiving adventure, that will be running Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will catch you later.